Yeah, might even be a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, maybe
Mate,
12.
probably a little bit more hair then.
I had a lot more hair then.
yeah, no comment. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, different person.
Welcome to the VOW podcast. Today we've got a special guest, Glen Robinson, who I've known for a very, very, very long time, who's been using VOW products since the beginning. To be fair, was an Olympic athlete, a Commonwealth champion as well. And we're going to find out a little bit more about Glen, his backstory, what he was doing when he was a professional athlete, what he's doing today. And what his future plans are as well. Yeah, but no, that was back then. I think you was a PT, wasn't you? Just
Yeah. So I was an employed PT, and we came down to London, where we were at the Excel Arena.
We was,
and met you, and the brand, which was different back then.
Yep.
And I was fresh out of competing at the Commonwealth Championships, so I just made that transition from athlete into coach. And you introduced me to the product, and I haven't used anything else since.
Yeah, amazing. So do you know what? Should we go back then to your athlete kind of career? Because obviously you mentioned Commonwealth Games. There's the Olympics in there and everything as well, isn't there?
Yeah. So I went as a full-time athlete back in 2007. So moved from my home with my parents in Kendal, moved to Manchester to go onto the full-time program. And then from there, developed through the system, got my first contract in 2010, which was out in Australia. And then from there, I competed and played for a club in Romania. And then the year of the Olympics, I played in the Bundesliga in Germany, which was possibly the highest level that I competed at, because we also competed in the Champions League as well with the club, so I got really good experience from that, and then that led me into London, where we competed at the London Olympic Games. Yeah,
which is pretty
great
amazing,
experience.
Yeah. So what was your best experience out of all of that?
Oh, the village.
Yeah,
being in the village. Yeah, that was amazing. Just seeing all the people that you've looked up to throughout your career, and everyone kind of just being on the same level.
Yep.
Like no one's any bigger than someone else. Everyone respects what you're there for, what you're doing. It was a great atmosphere. It was brilliant.
Amazing. So let's even go back a little bit further, and let's go how did you find that sport? What got you into it? What age you was when you realised that actually sport's what I want to do? And
so I was a swimmer first, and just naturally I kind of got bored of the individual competition. Started playing water polo from the age of 13, which is late. It's quite late, to be fair. But I just picked up the sport really quickly and kind of flew through the stages where you're competing for. So for me, it was the Northwest as a junior. Then I got into the England youth squad, then the Great Britain junior squad, and then from there transitioned into the senior team. So it was just something that I kind of picked up. I had to work really hard at it, but in terms of when I started and where I got to, I progressed quite quickly through the system.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, mate.
Yeah.
And then obviously you did the Olympics. I know you had a pretty successful Commonwealth as well, didn't you?
Yes, so we won the Commonwealth Championships. That was back in 2014. So that was amazing. And in my head, it was kind of like if I ever got a medal on the international stage, then I would kind of be done with the sport on an international level. Continued to play locally in the National League for Lancaster, and then 2 years ago I fully retired from the sport.
Fully retired, and now you're doing
weightlifting. Yeah, so it's always been a big interest of mine, and it was a huge part of my strength and conditioning with the water polo. And then some days, it's not every training session is easy, and some days I preferred being in the gym than in the pool. And I always wanted to be a coach, and I knew I never wanted to be a coach in water polo. I did some strength and conditioning work with the GB setup briefly, but as a direct coach through water polo, that's something I knew I never wanted to do. I wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach, and then from there, it's always just taken more and more of my interest, and then I decided to go two-footed in with the weightlifting. And now I have my own club, which is going very well. I'm taking myself more seriously in the sport as well, so I'm progressing through it, and I'm loving it. It's brilliant.
Do you know what's quite nice to hear, actually, is the fact that you are pursuing your dreams. You've always been involved in sport, competed at a good level, and then your transition out of actually competing is actually staying in sport.
Yeah,
But
I
then
have
coaching and developing others. And it's actually, obviously I know quite a bit about this, but it'd be good to know more about the club, the setup, what you're trying to do, who you're involved with, who's involved with you now as well, and so on.
Yeah, so I run. I'm a part owner of the gym that I have, which is Bayfit Limited, with my business partner Jefferson, and we've both also within that company. We've also got our projects as that we have individual passions for. Mine's the weightlifting club, so I have the Performance Weightlifting Club, which is for anyone. So if you're wanting to learn the new skill set that is weightlifting, everyone's more than welcome. And if you're a competitive athlete as well, then the programming's there for you and the development's there for you. I've got clients that are going to compete at the English Masters. I've got one client that's going to be going and competing in the European Masters later next year. And over the last few months, it's really taken off. It's becoming more and more popular. More and people are inquiring about what the club's about and what we're trying to achieve, which is just to grow the sport.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one as well, because obviously, again, we go back a little way, and you've always had a keen interest in supplementation, nutrition, and all of this stuff. And I know even myself, when I was doing competitive sport, I knew nothing about nutrition. To be honest with you, I didn't even understand calories properly at that point. Recovery for me really was a bag of crisps and a Snickers bar. And a full fat Coke. And don't get me wrong, I'm showing my age now because I'm going back a long way. But I always look at it and go, gosh, if I had the help or the knowledge I've got today back then, performance would have been so different, recovery would have been different, injuries would have probably been less. There's so many things. So it's kind of like, it'd be good to know like how important nutrition is to you, food, supplementation, what you do, and what you recommend and so on.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to when I was competing as a professional athlete in water polo, my goals were completely different back then. Also, I was also a lot younger. So I was naturally very light, and I was always trying to gain weight. But when you're swimming 30,000 meters a week, for me, that was really difficult. So I was on shakes and trying to just get as many calories in as possible. And now we fast forward over 12 years and being in a different sport that actually has weight categories, I'm now trying to do the opposite and lose the weight that I was trying to gain back in the day. But when we were starting out, that's when people really started paying attention to supplementation and how to fuel your body correctly. And I think we were like one of the first kind of wave of athletes where nutrition was started to be taken a lot more seriously. But since having a brief and a bit of an understanding as to what my body needs and what it takes to recover and things like that, for me, as we've already discussed, my favourite product from VOW, hands down, is the EAA Hydrate. Like, it's one of those supplements where when you're taking it, your performance is better, and when you don't have it, your performance drops off towards the end. And that goes across any discipline.
Yep.
And so I've used it to get me to swim Lake Windermere, which you kindly helped me with, which is 10.5 miles. It's a long, long way. It's a full-on endurance event, and I needed that supplement. I know I needed it from the previous time that I did it. But then when I'm training in the gym and I'm doing my weightlifting sessions and I've got high volume sets that I'm having to get through, I know I'm going to need it. And it is genuinely, when you've got it and when you haven't had it.
It's an interesting one to hear because selfishly, when I designed that product, I really made it for myself. And obviously, when I was, my background, or more recent background, was doing the natural bodybuilding. But I really made that for me, and it's a product I still use every day when I train now. And it's got everything you need: the essential amino acids, it's got the electrolytes and cyclic dextrin, which is a super carb made by a Japanese scientist for athletes.
Yeah, that's the one that I always push the most.
It was an interesting one because I had some conversations with some nutritionists, and they were saying that the number one ingredient now used by the Australian Olympic nutrition team and the Americans was cyclodextrin,
Right.
which shows just how good that product
Yeah.
is. But you do notice it when you don't take it and you do
Absolutely.
train. And even if you
100%.
just,
There's no placebo behind
Yeah.
that product. It is exactly what it is on the tin.
You just feel so
you have
different, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
and so it's always good to hear because, like I say, selfishly, I made that for me. But it's good that it
Yeah,
works
no,
out
it's
for you.
great. Absolutely brilliant. And I really enjoy the creatine chews as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just one of those supplements there. I've always been hit and miss with taking it. But with the chews, I don't know. I don't seem to skip a beat with it. I enjoy having it. It's nice. Mint it. I love it.
Yep, yep. We've got, I probably couldn't mention them, but we've got a big international team that we supply the creatine chews to. And the guy who's a sports scientist there, he was saying to me, he goes, the one supplement I need everybody to take is creatine. He goes, and the problem I've got is when I give them the powder, I know they don't take it because it's just too much hard work. He goes, but I give them the chews, and now it's actually making sure they don't take too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it is how you make those things convenient. And then obviously you've got dextrose in there that gives you a quicker uplift into the bloodstream as well. So it makes the creatine highly effective.
Yes.
And more effective than just taking it with water. So, no, it's an interesting one. But I think, is there any other products that you'd say that are really stuff that you rely on every day? There might even be stuff that you take that's actually outside of the FOW range. There could be some certain vitamins, minerals.
Multivitamins and minerals are something that I have taken, but I'm not that consistent with. The protein, but being genuine, I don't use anything outside of VOW. I'll wait for you to release something and I'll get it then.
I like that. You might have a long wait on some stuff though, but
That's
we are
fine.
trying.
It's all right. I've been here long enough.
But I tell you what would be interesting to know. It would be like when you was a professional athlete, what your daily routine was and what you did every day, and now you're training so different. You're training more for strength. I know you're training other people, but personally, you're training for strength yourself because I know you well enough now to know that you're still trying to hit personal bests on all your different powerlifting
Currently
exercises
that's
that
this
you're doing
week,
at the moment, right? So it'd be really interesting to know what your daily routine used to look like and what your daily routine now looks like.
So my daily routine when I was full-time in the water polo was we get up at around 4:15.
That's early, mate.
Yeah, really early. And then we'd have to be on poolside for 4:45. And then in the water at 5 till 7, home, eat, sleep. Then we was in the gym either 12 till around 2 or 1 till around 3, depending on the day. And then we'd be back in the pool again 5 till 7 or 6 till 8, and that was Monday to Friday. If we competed for our clubs at the weekend, then we got Monday morning off. Yeah, but that was it. It was up to 6 hours a day, 5 days a week.
And how was that mentally and physically? And
yeah, tough. Like there's days where it's like the last thing you want to do, but in order to have that opportunity to compete at the Olympics, nothing really outweighs it.
Yeah.
You get it done, and you turn up the next day, and you turn up the next day, and you turn up the next day, and each day you just try and get a bit better as a team and as an individual.
Yep.
Whilst now I'm looking at around 2 hours a day with the weights. I'm also like 12 years older, so the body doesn't recover the same. And it is a completely different training method. I met with Gareth Evans, who's now currently the head coach of the Welsh weightlifting team. He competed at London as well, so we were at the Olympics together, and we were actually discussing our training routines building up to the Olympics. And he was training, I think he said around 3, maybe 4 times a week, and then I'm like, well, I train 3 times a day. But they're completely 2 different disciplines. Yeah. You can't train weightlifting like you train for water polo. Your body would not recover. But it's just interesting to see how different sports train and what it takes to get to the top of your discipline. And, as long as you're turning up every day and trying to improve yourself, then you can't ask for any more. That's how I've always had that mindset. And it's why I always have to be involved in a sport now. I can't, as much as I put myself as a coach first, I have to have a goal for me.
Yep.
I'll always will do until the day that I
know
can't
that
do
feeling. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I think it's a difficult one when you've always done sport from a very young age. There's this certain thing in you which is you always have to have goals.
Yes.
So, I was boxing at 8 years old, and then I was doing track and field at a really good level, played rugby to a good level, continued the track and field on. Then I ended up, because of injuries, going into natural bodybuilding because I always needed a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's funny listening to what you were saying, because as hard as the training can be and as hard as it is to get yourself out of bed and do these things, there's a certain thing that's sometimes built inside you.
Yeah, you just do it.
Where you have a goal and you just do what needs to be done to get to the goal.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, why a lot of ex-athletes become really good entrepreneurs, because they don't mind the pain sometimes to get to an end result, which is quite interesting. So your goals today, your business, training, everything, it'd be really interesting to know them.
Yeah, so in regards to, where do I start? Bayfit, alongside with my business partner Jefferson, we've been really growing the business lately. With our memberships they're currently at the highest they've ever been, and we call it Bayfit Hub because within the gym there's so many little sideline businesses that are going on. We've got all of the personal trainers that work out of there. They've got their own business and they're pushing and promoting what they want to do and use our facility to achieve that. Both myself and Jefferson, we've got our own individual projects going on that complement what Bayfit is as well. And then personally for myself, I'm actually starting yet another side business with two of the guys that I briefly mentioned to you about, which is the Platform Project, where we're going to be doing athlete development through weightlifting. So it's not just going to be like your normal standby weightlifting seminar. We're going to be involving everything that it requires around the individuals to become an athlete. So from recovery to nutrition, from like mobility, everything that you need to do to look after yourself to be the best at what you do, we're using that.
Yeah, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And there's an element of giving back in all of this as well, isn't there?
Definitely. Like, I've worked with so many different coaches all over the world, and you pick up, everyone's different. Everyone's got like a slightly different approach. There's no right or wrong approach, but you absorb. I'd like to absorb as much as possible from anyone that's an expert in their field, because I always want to grow as myself. And then when you learn that knowledge and you see someone like that's an up and coming young athlete and you see that they've got that potential, you naturally drawn to them because you want to pass what you have learned in your career onto them to make sure that they've got the best chance of success rate as well in what they want to achieve. And I always feel that coaching and sports science, it's always developing, it's always growing and improving. And I think like the next generation will have more information than what the previous one had, and the generation after them are going to have more help, and the level of sports is just going to continue to grow as long as people share what they learn.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because if we go back to something you said earlier, it's like you as a transition around the 2012 Olympics, that was when supplements first started to become a bit of a big deal, and athletes were starting to realise that, this isn't just for bodybuilders.
No.
Because the whole supplement market used to be just bodybuilders, and then you look at it today and then you realise that actually there's so many people taking supplements, and people don't even realise they're taking supplements. There's people on collagen and creatine every day for different reasons, where they kind of like, you go to them, do you take supplements? It's like, oh no, I don't take supplements. Oh, what do you take? Oh, well, I take a bit of creatine and collagen. It's like, well, that's a supplement, right?
Yeah, you are.
And they drink protein drinks, eat protein bars. Again, they are still supplements, because you're supplementing something that you can get from a diet, but not in the amount you need to get it. But it is interesting, because I've been doing this for a period of time. When I was in sport, supplements didn't exist. People didn't finish a training session. I used to train really hard, especially in track and field. Then I thought about having a protein shake or protein drink or anything protein based. It was like, I just need sugar.
Bag of Skittles.
This is it, because it gave it a hit, and it made you. It didn't really give you any kind of recovery. It just gave you a hit of, I've got some energy back. And
That's genuinely what I did. I had a bag of Skittles in my bag on the poolside, and when I needed it, I jumped out. I had a mouthful and got back in.
And that was the crazy thing. And I only started learning about supplements when I did the natural bodybuilding, because you were then reliant upon supplements, because if physically on a training as hard as I was and then doing a calorie deficit diet, you had to supplement. It was the only way you could actually...
Yeah, absolutely. And from our point of view, when you're training 3 times a day, you can't eat that much food and then within a certain time period be back in the pool training. You can't do it. Your body won't get what it needs in order to recover and reset and get ready to go again. And that's why the supplements started to get brought in, because it's like, okay, you can't go and eat X amount of protein through food. So you're going to have what you can eat here, and then you're going to top that up with your supplement, which is going to be your protein powder. And you're not going to be able to eat enough of this, and then you're going to supplement that with your creatine. And we're going to elevate those levels through supplements so that you get the best performance out of yourself. And that's how it was for us.
And you can see now how supplements start. I know I sometimes badger on about the 1% difference that supplements make, but you can see now how things like supplements, the scientific side of training, how it's developing athletes now. And how, you can look at a 100-meter runner, an Olympic swimmer. I mean, swimming's an interesting one because world records get broke all the time now. Right? And it shows that if world records continuously get broke all the time. And it's not like with swimming, you can make a faster running track and you can use a new material and guys are running faster. Yeah, you're in water, right? You can't make water faster.
No, it's the same.
Right? So the fact that you see more and more world records being broken all the time, you can realise that training's improved. Strength training has improved. Recovery is improved. A lot of that comes from supplementation, diet and everything else. And considering supplements and a lot of this stuff hasn't been around for very long, over the last kind of like couple of decades, we've seen real big increases in performance. And you do wonder where it's going to go. And it's interesting what you said, because we don't all know everything. And I know when I've done stuff, I've put world champions, British champions and people around me. I've spoke to them, trained with them, learnt from them, picked things up from them, asked questions. I mean, really your own knowledge and wisdom just comes from what you're willing to take in, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, that was it. And like, I was the athlete, I asked the strength and conditioning coaches, okay, why am I doing this? Like, because I wanted to understand what the purpose was for. And I always probably oh, here we go. But that's how I learned. It was just a case of, it's like, well, why am I doing power cleans? Like, I don't do that when I'm playing polo. And they're like, oh, well, we need to somehow develop your explosive power. Water polo is a very explosive sport. And this is going to be the best way to improve that for you. And I'm like, oh, right, that's interesting. And then it's like, okay, so now and so I was never afraid to ask questions. If I didn't know why I was doing something or why I was taking something, I asked the question so that I could understand it. And if I can understand it, then I can then utilize it to the best of my ability. And that's how I developed as an athlete, and now how I develop as a coach. Because, if I look back when I first met you, I was technically a coach, but from where I was then to where I am now, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I thought I knew a lot then. And it's only when you meet different people, different athletes, different coaches from different levels, that as long as you're prepared to ask questions and learn, then the ceiling's never ending. You're always going to keep growing yourself.
I completely agree with that, mate. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think so many years ago, I thought I knew loads. And it's only now that I realise I know nothing, because what I've learned over the last so many years is the fact that, gosh, I didn't know anywhere near as much as I thought I did know back then. So I know now that I know very little and just need to keep learning.
Yeah, that's it. But there's nothing wrong with that, because if you ever get to a point where you think you do know everything and you're not willing to continue to learn anything, well, then that's when your progression will stop. The business will not grow and you won't grow, and that's not a good place to be in. There's always something out there that you can learn. There's always something out there that you can go and find to improve you, your business, your goals, anything. Like, always be willing to learn. That's the best bit of advice I could ever give anyone.
No, 100%. So what's next for you?
Next for me, so as an athlete, as a coach.
Do you know what? Personal.
Personal.
Give us the whole story. I mean, what's the personal goals? What's the training goals? The business goals?
So, our personal goals, I'd like to compete at the English Masters first, which, given the time that I've taken this sport seriously, would be a good achievement for myself. And then I think with time I'll have the opportunity to go to the British as well. That's the personal goal for me. In terms of like the business, I want to get as many athletes competing as possible. It doesn't matter at what level, but I want to start them on their competitive journey, whether it's a tier 3 competition, which is local, tier 2, or we're getting them into the English as well, or the British. That's where I want to go, and I want to get as many people involved with the sport as possible. With the platform project, that's in the early stages, so that's going to really start developing over the next few months.
Yep.
Releasing exactly what it's going to be, how we're going to improve that service within the weightlifting community to give the people the best opportunity that they can.
Nice. So let's go current. You want to compete in the Masters,
Yeah.
right? And do the British.
Yeah.
And I know people that have done this, and I've been involved in some of this stuff. So, what's your current lifting? What's the goals you want to get to? Yeah. So, what are the weights you want to be pushing, and what's your kind of weekly routine look like currently to try and get to that goal?
So I currently have snatched 85, clean and jerked 110. Those numbers in their own rights, they're not that impressive at the moment. But I've just been going through an 8-week block with my coach, Daniel Rhodes, who's also one of the 3 partners of the platform project. And currently I've hit PBs every week. I've just gone through a sheer volume block, which is something my body has never done. So it's good to start doing that at 36. It's I've definitely felt the pain of doing that, but it's paying off. It's a testing week this week for me, so I've got 5 rep max testing. I just got 125 for 5 yesterday on the back squat, which I've never been anywhere near that number before. And I could have gone heavier, to be fair, as well. It's always a learning curve. This is it. I'm learning, and I'm testing myself in areas that I've never really tested myself at before. And it's really interesting to see how my body's responding to a different type of training method. Where's the goal? I'd love to snatch 100. Yep. I'd love to clean and jerk 120, and I get those numbers, and I'm well into the English Masters. So, probably the British, to be fair. That's the end goal, and I think by the end of 2026 I'll have that.
Yeah, nice.
Definitely.
Nice.
If not before.
Well, maybe we just have to follow the journey.
Yeah, definitely.
What's let's look at some of your memories in sport. What's like one of the biggest memories or the most funniest thing that's ever happened to you in when you was competing? What's the most embarrassing moment you've had?
Ooh, here we go. Embarrassing moments. There's too many. I gotta be careful what I say.